All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining the session today. In the AI Landing Theater today, we've heard about how AI is impacting news, art, design. What we're going to be doing is shifting gears a little bit here and talking about how AI can be used to accelerate building businesses. First off, I want to thank you for your time coming to the AI Landing Theater, and for those listening at Salesforce Plus. It's really exciting. Really appreciate your time, and I know it's precious. And we really want to get excited about joining this movement, democratizing success. My name is Mike. With me, I have the founders of Hubbl Technologies and Swantide, Chris and Taylor. And today we're going to be talking about this question of what if AI could be used to build your business faster, smarter, more efficiently. And if you think about it, the way the businesses are built, it's a collection of processes that are designed by humans and empowered by technology. And these processes are in these businesses that allow us to actually build businesses that allow us to dig deeper into these processes and actually build businesses faster. And so the idea here is that if you think about the way that we build businesses, we spend a huge amount of time on these businesses, whether it's in business schools or whether it's inside of business process workshops. We're always thinking about how we can improve these businesses and build them better. And if we could take AI and actually help accelerate the way that those businesses are being built, this would actually unleash a new wave of business building and give us more prosperity and jobs for everyone. And so this is the journey that we're on inside of Hubbl Technologies, and we're not alone. I want to thank all the Salesforce MVPs and the partners, the Salesforce customers, and even the Salesforce employees themselves that are working together with us to bring this to life. But how did we get here? So cloud technology has been accelerating business building by providing democratized access. And our CEO, Rob Acker, was on the ground in those early days at Salesforce as a sales leader, as well as Mike Milburn, the CRO at Swantide. And if you think about it, the way cloud technology worked, it was incredible what it was doing. There was no software, no hardware, this ability to truly leverage a multi-tenant architecture that democratized access to businesses that were at the enterprise level and secure. And so this is something that really leveled the playing field for all businesses everywhere and truly accelerated us to this place we are now. And if you think about this place we're now, it's very exciting. We're at a place where Salesforce has made business building a science. And that science is embedded in this framework of metadata that's inside of these businesses. So think about it. When you that common framework of metadata that's in a business, if you purchase licenses from Salesforce, you're granted access to metadata. Maybe you purchase Service Cloud or Revenue Cloud. That metadata is a common framework built across all the businesses on the platform. And so that common metadata, it kind of acts like the genome for the business, right? And that's something that allows businesses to then customize on top of the platform to build their own capabilities. So then what you're really dealing with is this collection of metadata that is both the common framework and the custom framework that comes from all of these efforts that humans have put into designing those processes in the business. And if we could go in there and actually analyze all of those businesses in a secure and aggregated way, we would essentially tap into the collective wisdom of all those humans that are building businesses. And this is what we are building inside of Hubbl Technologies. But don't take it from us. Metadata is critical for businesses. And this is some data. I've been in the ecosystem for over 11 years now, and I always listen to Mark Benioff's earnings calls. And in February this year, he mentioned the word metadata 26 times inside of his Salesforce earnings call. And this struck me. I mean, this was a complete outlier. And so I actually went back and looked at the transcripts of the earnings calls, and metadata had only been mentioned a couple of times by the CTO, for example. So it's a true outlier, and is really something that points to the fact that metadata is critical to Salesforce's business and to all businesses that are being built everywhere. And we all know, I mean, many of us have been inside of Salesforce Setup. We know that when you go into Setup and you're looking at the way your business is built in the cloud, you can see that there's a lot of metadata in there, right? And our research has shown that there's about 27,000 pieces of metadata in a typical Salesforce org. That's a lot of metadata. If you went in and clicked and looked at each of those pieces for 5 seconds because you want to learn how that business is being built, it would take you 4 days of continuous clicking without even looking at any of the, without doing any interpretation on that information itself. Now, think about that. If I wanted to go and learn from all the businesses that are building, there's 150,000 businesses doing it. It would take me 1,600 years of human effort to go in and actually look at that without any interpretation. Now, if I think about that, if you push it even further, that's just for one person who actually want to analyze these businesses, right? If you actually take it and go to all the businesses want to learn from each other, now you're talking about 240 million years of human effort that would need to go into analyzing this. We're talking dinosaur ages here. There is a better way, and that better way is to build a secure, aggregated, and anonymized view of the business setup in the cloud so that we can unleash this new era of predictive intelligence. Now, the challenge is that there's a bit of a challenge here, and that is that the metadata is there, but that custom metadata that businesses are building on the cloud, it's not always well documented. And our research at Hubbl has shown that 20% of the metadata actually doesn't have any description at all. So that means that businesses are challenged by being AI ready because the AI won't even be able to understand what that metadata is for. And so that's over 5,500 instances per org. And this is a big challenge that people are dealing with right now. And you can read more about the benchmark report there at Hubbl. But what this ultimately means, and this is what Mark was getting across in his earnings call as well, is that AI has completely changed the scene. We're at a place now where businesses are scrambling to get their metadata and data in order so they can take advantage of AI. They can take advantage of Agentforce. And businesses just simply cannot ignore this anymore. And this is why innovation actually needs a game plan.
All right. So we know that innovation needs a game plan. And there are 2 key areas to focus on to make sure that it happens. And the first one is restore and maintain your org health. You need a strong foundation in order to build on top of. So what you got to do is continuously monitor your orgs. And these are for changes that your team is making, that your partners are making, and that your AI is making. And communicate that visually so that the implementer to the architect to the C-suite all are speaking and understanding it the same way. Some things to monitor for would be security vulnerabilities, excessive complexity, user adoption challenges, business process that needs to be optimized. And this is all for the purpose of accelerating innovation. So that way, when you do have a business priority that comes up, you're able to react quickly to it. And when you're thinking about what you want to do next, you can move over to step 2 here, learn from the best. And you learn from the best through AI, as Mike was talking about, by learning from all this aggregated intelligence on these orgs. And the idea here is to harness previously inaccessible insights and benchmarks from across all industries, not just your own, but ones that maybe have some tips that you could learn from. And this is so you can really cut down your learning curve. There's no need to kind of reinvent the wheel here and learn to build the same thing that every other Salesforce customer is building. The idea here is let's take those commonalities and accelerate you in a way that allows you to move quicker. This helps you build best practices that fit your unique business where it makes sense. And the ultimate goal here is to unleash this transformative business growth through predictive intelligence. And this helps you reach your highest potential quicker. So the question is then, well, how do you execute upon this game plan? Let's go back to the restoring and maintaining your org health. This is where the Hubbl Technologies platform and our partner Swantide come into play. So first, we can focus on the restoration by using our recommendation engine to super simply identify and allow you to monitor your org and help you organize what we find by severity and by effort so that you can find that low-hanging fruit to work on first. The goal is basically to simplify all of this. And when we built this, we did this in close collaboration with Salesforce so that we basically, every one of our recommendations aligns to the Salesforce well-architected framework, which you hopefully have learned a little bit more about today if you haven't been familiar with that. In addition to the static rules that we run, we also look at field utilization. And the idea there is to make sure that the fields that you are going to build your AI on top of are being populated, and you're not making bad decisions about building maybe on areas that really don't have the data to support your AI initiatives. We also do trend analysis, so you can monitor the adoption across clouds, packages, objects in your org, as well as new technologies like Flow. So whereas Hubbl helps you identify the complexities in your org and the optimization opportunities, our partner Swantide helps you implement those changes and also automatically generate documentation for everything in your org.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, so Swantide is the first AI-powered platform that automatically generates documentation and helps you manage your Salesforce org. So you can connect Swantide with a single click, and every validation rule, every Apex class, every flow, we're going to generate documentation. So it doesn't matter if it's 10 years old or it's a flow with 30 nested nodes. We're going to be able to read it in the context of your org and generate a business description as well as implementation details. And now this is integrated with Hubbl. So when Hubbl surfaces those 5,000 components that are missing a description and blocking you from enabling Einstein for Sales, Einstein for Service, all of this amazing new Agentforce functionality, now with Swantide, you can get those descriptions and be in a place that you can build on your org. Click the next slide.
Good. Okay.
And so what this documentation does is it also powers our AI assistant that can help you make changes in your Salesforce instance. So Swantide has that documentation. It has all of the raw metadata in your org. It keeps track of changes, and it can be personalized to your Jira ticket backlog, internal documentation, any best practices. And then you can start asking it questions about how to fix things, how to do things in your Salesforce. And now with Hubbl, you can ask it how to fix those recommended issues. So the one we're seeing on here, a CRUD violation, that might take a developer, it could take you a couple hours to read through the code, understand where this is happening, what you need to do. Swantide will actually implement that fix for you. So now some of these recommendations that were previously time, cost, talent prohibitive, you can bring them to your org.
Yeah, and we're super excited about this partnership because it's basically leveling the playing field where now we can bring success to everybody with these answers that come out of Swantide. So once you use AI through Swantide, or if your team takes out those recommendations and builds them yourself, what you're going to want to do is measure the impact of that change. And so we have another product called Hubbl Process Analytics. That's an App Exchange package that you can install in your org, and it will take all of the field history tracking data to automatically generate visualizations like this that will show the actual execution of your processes in your org. And you can see in this visual here, we're comparing the before state with the after state and showing the impact. Like in the old days, it took 13 days. We added some automation, and now it only takes 3 days. You're able to basically justify the efforts that you're putting into these changes and really highlight the business impact.
So let's take this a level higher. So we talked about the fact that Hubbl Technologies is building a platform where we're looking across an aggregate, secured, anonymized view of business setups in the cloud. So what I saw was this ability to go into a business setup and look at clustering and nearest neighbors for individual setups. So I spent about 10 years inside of the U.S. Department of Energy in the national laboratories working on machine learning and neural networks. And what this is showing you, this image, is these individual dots are businesses that are set up inside the cloud. And you can see how we're identifying nearest neighbors in those clouds. And how do you actually interpret this? What does this mean? For us to identify what's next in the business, we can identify inside of those clusters specific business types that are in there so that the next business that comes in and gets analyzed lands inside of these clusters and allows us to provide more relevant predictive intelligence to those businesses. So this is truly a scenario where, because of that science that Salesforce has put behind building businesses in the cloud, now we can provide this type of predictive intelligence. So what does this mean? What can we do in terms of what to do next? We can see that we can identify what's next. For example, a really simple example is packages. So we all install these packages into our orgs. This is essentially the idea of putting apps inside of our business. And so what Hubbl is doing is looking across the adoption, the way that the Salesforce org is being used by this particular business, and the algorithms are looking through this and recommending packages based on similar businesses that are at a similar scale and size, but they might not necessarily be in the similar industry, for example. And so what this means is that we can actually provide insights to those architects and business builders that are more pertinent for them. So another really interesting example here is taking it down to the object level. So we as architects, people building businesses, we want to look at process and identify objects that we need and processes that we want to build in the business. What Hubbl can allow you to do is see the most common objects that are built throughout the ecosystem. So for example, I might be tasked as a business analyst or architect to build an invoicing process. So we can see that the invoice object has been built many times custom across many Salesforce orgs. But what this allows us to do is also see the fields that are built most frequently on those objects. And if those fields are built frequently on those objects, this means that humans have made those decisions to build those fields, and we can use that as a piece of information to maybe validate our own thinking, or also build a framework for the new type of object that we want to build to meet our business requirements. And the way to think about this is that this is taking you to the next level and really allowing you to have an architect at your fingertips. And with our partnership with Swantide, this is really taking us to the next level.
Yeah, so you're able to leverage our implementation library, which allows you to share metadata between an org and customize it at time of deployment. So like Mike said, people are building these custom objects that are in Invoice. They have similar fields, but you might want to reference in a formula on that Invoice object a field on your account. With Swantide, you can leverage that metadata that someone else built, tested, designed, and now you can inject your own references into it. So this is amazing because it allows you to share what other folks have learned, what they've done, what they've built, and it's still built by humans. We're just leveraging AI to allow you to deploy it, do it faster, and really democratize success.
So hopefully this has given you a bit of a flavor about how AI will accelerate business building and now empower democratized success. And so this is a really exciting time for Chris, Taylor, and I, Rob, the team, our development teams. And we're not alone. We're inviting you to join this movement. We definitely want to thank all those Salesforce MVPs, partners, the Salesforce customers that are in this, helping us bring this to life. And actually, Rob, now that I think about it, back in the day, you guys always said that Salesforce in the early days, it was point, click, close. Now it's essentially point, click, success. So we invite you to join this movement that's looking to democratize success across the ecosystem. If you're interested in learning more, you can meet Rob, Taylor, Chris, and I. We have a booth over here at the AI Showcase. For those that are listening on Salesforce Plus, you can also check out the website, the live demos, and everything that are there. Really appreciate your time and attention, and enjoy the rest of the show. We'll have an Einstein summary available soon after the talk. And thank you for your time and attention.
Thanks, guys.